Okay. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. I think we're just going to start early today, guys. Howdy to everyone in the chat. And welcome, everybody. We are here again. Chapter 42, Beelzebub Goes to America. So as you can all see, we're reading Beelzebub's tales to his grandson. Everyone's in the chat. Howdy Tyler, howdy Marco, Theodore Kent's in here. Is that like the screw tape letters? That's actually an interesting comparison. Yes. So Beelzebub's tales is kind of like the screw tape letters on, yeah, screw tape letters on crack. So basically, it's like a sci-fi. So Beelzebub is on a spaceship, and he's coming back from what do you know, after the war in heaven, and he was exiled. He's coming back from his exile, and he's meeting some old family members, and he meets his grandson for the first time, and his grandson Hassien is infatuated with him, starts asking about his time and his exile. So he was exiled on the planet Mars, and he just like starts asking things, and he starts talking about these weird people on the planet Earth. So Beelzebub's tales to his grandson is an objective view of the history of mankind from the perspective of Beelzebub, and he's telling it to his grandson. Now, it's a very hard book, Theodore, so if you are interested, I do recommend going back and checking out some of the other live streams. Who wrote this bad acid trip? Gurdjieff, the mystic himself. So maybe some of the other guys in chat will fill you in, but we'll just jump right into it. We're like part 5, so this is the longest chapter in the book. This chapter is like over 100 pages. It is insane. And it's the last time Beelzebub has descended to the planet Earth. And he's come down to the planet Earth, and he's gone to America to check it out. He's gone to Chicago. He's gone checking out some like swinger parties or something. He met some friends. He met a Persian guy who's addicted to gooning, apparently. And now I think in the last chapter, he started talking about, he was telling Hassien about everyone's like gooning habits. And he started talking about kids, and I was like, oh. So now we're going to talk about little girls, apparently. Lol. But basically, don't goon, kids. You need to save your... Yeah, wash your junk was the other thing. That was the esoteric reason for washing your foreskin. But yeah, let's see where he... Picking up where we left off, just straight up in the middle of the sentence. Let's just jump right into it. So, as regards, just what measures the great Moses took for eradicating the evil, I learned not from the aforementioned book Tuk Tes Nalul Pan, but from the contents of an also very ancient papyrus. From the contents of this papyrus, it could be clearly seen that the great Moses gave the practical effects to the thoughts set down on this question in the book Tuk Tes Nalul Pan. Oh, I should also mention, sorry, Theodore, if you want to check out what we're reading, just go, oh, what's the website? Gurdjieff work. Where is it? Come on, man. So this site, literally just gurdjieff.thework. Get to this site, scroll to the bottom, find their library, and in primary texts you can find the PDF that we're using. I should probably keep this open and just mention that every live stream, but whatnot. Anyway, getting back into it, sorry. Right in the middle of that sentence. By creating for his people those two religious rites, one of which is called Sik Nerchorn and the other Tsel Putskan. Can you spell Gurdjieff? Yeah, kind of like that, but just add a D and a kind of an E instead of one of those Fs. It's hilarious. It's almost phonetic, like the way you spelt it. That's almost the same way. The sacred Sikt Ner Chorn was specially created for boys, and the sacred Sel Puts Khan for girls, and they were to be obligatorily performed on all children of both sexes. The rite of Sikt Ner Churn, for instance, was identical with your Suinat. So is this like he's just talking about circumcision? Or bar mitzvahs? What's going on here? By cutting what is called the vagiano. You gotta cut your vagiano, boys. Or the frenum of the penis. Or the boys. The connection is severed between the head and the skin covering it, and thus there is obtained free movement of this skin, or as it is called, praeputium penis. According to the information which has come down to us from ancient times, and also according to our own common sense, it is plain that the great Moses, who, as we learn from another source, was a very great authority on medicine, wished by this means to secure that the totality of substances accumulating in the said places might of itself be mechanically removed owing to all kinds of accidental contact, and thus cease to become a factor for the arising of the mentioned maleficent itching. So yeah. So basically, smegma is the problem. The smegma gets in there and makes you itch, and makes you scratch down there, and then the scratching leads to stroking, and then the devil gets in through your peen hole. No, but to fill everyone in on the reason why you don't goon is your sexual energy, or as Gurdjieff calls it, your exiohari, is one of the ingredients to creating a higher being body. So your sexual energy, you spill it outside, it creates a body for a new essence. But if you transmute it inwards and upwards, and amongst other things, other processes, it creates a different kind of body that your consciousness can use to perpetuate itself after death. So you want to become immortal? Edging, not gooning. Now, concerning the vast learning of the great Moses in the province of medicine, sorry. I'm dyslexic, so every time I misspell something, mispronounce something, just take a shot. Just get your shot glasses ready, boys. Many diverse historical sources agree that he obtained his medical knowledge during his stay in Egypt as a pupil of the Egyptian high priests. I think this is the perfect episode for new members to drop in. They will learn of the core teachings of of goonlessness. Yes, indeed. This sounds like terrible esoteric advice. Trust me, there's some good stuff. There's some good stuff in here. He just happened to get onto gooning. Howdy, Kimberly. What did I miss? No, we've only just started. We've only just started the goon sesh, Kimberly. We've only just started. Oh, and he's about to get into Atlantis, back to Atlantis and stuff. Okay. Very interesting. He's talking about Moses being an Egyptian priest here. Has anyone, like, heard of the that conspiracy theory that actually started from Sigmund Freud? How, like, Moses was actually an Egyptian priest. He was just straight up an Egyptian priest that helped out the Israelites, and they retroactively made him, like, a Hebrew. One of them in their, just kind of their myths, their folk tales. It's really interesting because they found, like, early, Akkadian, Sumerian texts of, like, ancient kings, and one of the ancient kings, his, like, biography is him getting put in a reed basket and put in a river, and that they kind of just have this, the Israelites took that story and applied it to Moses so that it makes sense why he's a Hebrew Israelite, but also an Egyptian priest that helps them out. So it's like, and that theory was first started by Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud towards, you know, when we think of Sigmund Freud, we think of, you know, just cocaine in your mum jokes, but towards the end of his life, he got more into conspiracy theories and almost like occult, parapsychological testing for telepathy and things like that. He's actually kind of interesting. Hold up, Theodore, we'll get to Atlantis, okay? I swear it gets more esoteric than just edging. Now, to whom this knowledge had come down from their ancestors of the continent Atlantis. It was all the Atlanteans. The first and last genuinely learned beings of the Earth, the members of the society, then called Kaldan. So that for those who missed the... It was around, I think, chapter 20, 21 to like 25, we went through the entirety of Atlantis and post-Atlantis. So the Kaldan society was like the secret society, the original secret society in Atlantis, made of members who are able to unlock the objective science of reality. And after Atlantis' fall, there's never been another Kaldan society, but fragments of the Kaldan society have popped up in other places, and that's kind of like... So it's like secret societies and the things that they hold, they actually only hold a fragment of what was lost. What was lost? But supposedly, everything that the Kaldans had their knowledge was recorded in like an esoteric layer of the Earth's atmosphere called the, what is it, the Kelnuanian tapes or some crap. So if you reach a level of objective like consciousness, you can potentially, you know, jack into Gurdjieff's version of the Akashic records and basically download the Kaldan society stuff. So there's still hope, guys. There's still hope. We just gotta crystallize higher being bodies and get there. But anyway, a Kaldan society. The beneficial results of the customs then created by the Great Moses even now continue to be fairly visible in practice. Concerning, for instance, the custom of circumcision in particular, I, being a good diagnostician, and able to tell from one glance at a man's face with disharmony... Oh, he's a Gurdjieff pro-physiognomy. Physiognomy, sorry. The disharmony in a person's face is due to gooning. He has in his organism, can safely say that this terrible children's disease of onanism... Onanism is the technical term for gooning. What is his accent? My accent? My accent is secret accent, that's why. That's what it is. Sometimes I'm British, sometimes I'm like Canadian American or something, I don't know. Guess. Onanism is scarcely ever found among those children. Now I'm not going to do an accent. Among those children whomst this rite has been performed, whereas the children of those parents who fail to observe this custom are almost all subjected to it. The exceptions in this respect are only the children of those parents who are indeed cultured in the full sense of the word, and who clearly understand that the future normal mentation of their children depends exclusively upon whether they do or do not contract this disease in their childhood youth. So gooning is a disease, and it ruins your mentation. Fine Free Fine says, I heard there was a heptagonal Ferris wheel in Melbourne. Melbourne where? What are we talking about? What's going on? Theodore Kent, you sound like an American in an improv class, not committing to a British accent. That's funny. That's really funny. Fourth way accent, it's Atlantean. Hell yeah, let's go. Such cultured parents know very well that even, Jesus Christ, what am I doing? If even once the sensation of the climax of what is called the Uamonvanosian process, I said it right the first time, just it's because it's an, you go mon and then there's a van immediately after. Uamonvanosian process. Okay. I did it good. That was good. Let's go. Occurs in what is called the nervous system of their children before they reach maturity. I think that's a spelling error. Maturity. They will already never have the full possibility of normal mentation. So if you gooned when you were younger, oh my god, it's just you just lost a couple of IQ points, bro. You lost it, and you're never gonna get them back. Just those 30... Just hentai ruins everything. It's that Showing kids hentai just ruins their IQ. Anime was a mistake. Now, when they become adults, and hence it is that such cultured parents always consider it their first and chief duty towards their children to educate them in this respect. Sorry, now in the chat, Nulhul, I gooned the first time at 12, and Jill Robert is my girlfriend, says, am I doomed? Question mark. Okay, I think we're not doomed, but we just have to, like, if you're able to crystallize a higher being body, you may be able to get some of it back. We just need to reach the higher functioning, the higher cylinders, because it's like we have an intellectual cylinder, emotional cylinder, and our motor cylinder, but we've also got those higher functions. If we can get to those higher functions, maybe we could get some of that IQ back. But, yeah, we're just kind of like... It's more like we're starting off on hard mode. Like, instead of just starting off with, like, you know, base stats, we're, like, starting off with minus stats and some things, and it's like, we're not gonna get some good rolls, but as long as you keep playing, only those who give up fail. You just gotta keep grinding. We can all make it. We'll all make it back to Hyperborea, okay? Morgoth, I gooned at 5 years old to Britney Spears. Oof. Oof. That's why they say porn is not free. You pay with your soul. The grind is worth it. Now, unlike most of our contemporary parents, they do not consider that the education of children consists in badgering them to learn by rote as much poetry as possible. Oh man! Composed by Mordortentis psychopaths, lol. Or in teaching them to click their heels well. So no dance or poetry, oh man! Before their acquaintances, in which accomplishments, according to the notions of people of recent times, the whole education of children, unfortunately, consists... Hey, I write poetry. Yeah, no, poetry's great. Poetry's great. Love a little William Blake in my pastime. I gotta read my William Blake, not the gay kind. Not the gay... Yeah, exactly. Not the gay poetry kind. The poetry where words are indicators that point towards truth. The goddess of poetry is the only one who can lead us through the house of truth. But even she cannot guide... She can only guide us. She cannot open the doors for us. And so, my dear friend, and through a very depraved, yet nevertheless sympathetic young man, these two rites were created by the great Moses. And introduced then into ordinary life of the Judaic people in order to counteract the maleficent invention of clothes, thanks to which those factors were destroyed which were provided by nature for the protection of these organs from the harmful action of the substances given off by them. And these two rites were transmitted from generation to generation. Clothes. Is that why, like, Mormons wear special underwear so it doesn't rub? And, like, it doesn't encourage you to, like, goon? Is that, like, a secret Mormon thing against gooning? That's why they have special underwear? Both to the followers of the Judaic religion themselves, as well as to others who took over these useful rites almost unchanged. And it was only after the death of the great King Solomon that the rite Tsel Putz Khan ceased for some reason or other to be performed even by the followers of this Judaic religion, and only the rite Sit Ner Chorn automatically continued to be performed and reached the contemporary representatives of that race. And this custom, together with many other ancient Judaic customs, also reached the followers of the Christian religion, who at first observed it very strictly in their everyday life. But very soon, both this custom itself and even the information about its adoption among them similarly quickly disappeared from among the followers of this then still new religion. Yes, my dear friend, if only the teaching of the divine Jesus Christ were carried out in full conformity with its original, then the religion, unprecedentedly wisely founded on it, would not only be the best of all existing religions, but even all religions. Oh, thanks, honey. I got a replacement glass. I was running low on my other one. Best wife, best wife. Everyone get yourself a Cancer wife. Cancer sun, best for wives. Adamu in chat. Did I miss the part about jacking it in the desert? I mean, it was pretty brief, and then we went back to Atlantis and then started talking about gooning again. Yes. Unprecedentedly wisely founded on it would not only be the best. So he's talking about, like, Christianity being the best religion if it was followed properly, which Gurdjieff was fundamentally into esoteric Christianity or Hermetic Christianity. Hello, Cactus. And it's kind of interesting because he really doesn't gel with any of the Christian sects. Maybe a little bit, like, you could kind of say the closest Christianity to Gurdjieff would be something like, I don't know, Platonic Christianity and some Orthodox sects or something like that, but really he's just got his own brand of, like, Hermetic Christianity. And you don't even notice the Jesus in there, really. But fundamentally, Gurdjieff himself has this almost like kind of what the Rosicrucians were aiming at. It's like this esoteric Protestant reformed Hermetic Christianity. So you kind of get glimpses of it every now and then. And this is one glimpse of it where he's like, Jesus, good. Martinism. Yeah, that's another one that's interesting. I don't think Gurdjieff was ever a Martinist, but I've mentioned it before on livestream how there's some Rosicrucian-y stuff about Gurdjieff. Like, he has some... Ouspensky mentioned at one point his cosmology is, like, basically drawn from Robert Flood, and there are other people who have talked about, you know, his autobiography, The Meetings with Remarkable Men, where he talks about his journeys through the East. And if you ever, like, sync that up to the Rosicrucian manifestos and you read about, like, Christian Rosencrantz and his journeys to the East, it, like, syncs up, so he's kind of, like, following Christian Rosencrantz. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. Now, all religions, the best around, nothing gonna go, except for the custom of polygamy. Oh, hello. Hello. There is nothing in the Mohammedan religion which was not also in the Judaic as well as in the Christian teaching. So he's basically saying Mohammedan, they're alright as well, but polygamy bad. So take that, Mormons. That's what you got. The custom of polygamy, established on the basis of scientific deductions of the then famous Arabian learned being, Nayul... made-up name, Nayul an El Aoul. That feels really weird on the lips, by the way. Let me just say that again. It's like, Na'ulan El Aoul. It really needs some consonants, but it feels like your mouth is open at all times. And when you say L, your tongue touches the roof of your mouth. So you're just kind of going, ow, and then, like, you're flicking your tongue up and down. That's a really interesting name there. It has this really weird mouth feel. Sorry. So this Arabian guy, this guy here, was introduced into the everyday life of people in general, after the period of the founding of the Christian religion. Your religion arose much later. So he's this is Beelzebub. In this point here in the story, I think he's still talking to that Persian guy. So he's talking to a Persian guy now, and now he's... Hence why he says your religion. He's talking to a Persian guy, hence a Mohammedan guy. Your religion arose much later. And its contents were intentionally restricted by its great creators, who had it in mind to lay particular stress on certain everyday customs. They did this because at that time, there were clearly manifest both the decline of the Christian religion and the disappearance in ordinary people of the capacity for contemplation, That is, for the state in which alone the truths indicated in the detailed, genuine religious teachings can be understood. So contemplation here is not just thinking, contemplation is a type of meditation or mentation. Having noticed all this, the great creators of the Mohammedan religion decided on the one hand to simplify the teaching itself, and on the other hand to emphasize certain customs so that the everyday life of the followers of this new teaching, who had lost the capacity for contemplation and consequently the possibility of understanding truths consciously, might at least mechanically flow more or less tolerably. Just at that time, among other customs, they established and laid particular stress on the customs you mentioned of sunniyat, abdest, and polygamy, the beneficial results of which we can see even now in practice. Thank you for the hearts, everyone in chat. Praying early in the morning is important. There's some, there was an early chapter in Beelzebub where he actually talked about a practice of, early morning after you waking up and you're doing something, and it's it connects you, the conscious mind, the consciousness to the subconsciousness. So usually there's this disconnect and the subconsciousness just kind of influences us, but by doing certain practices in the morning, it kind of creates a bridge where our consciousness and subconsciousness can actually have an interaction and we can be conscious of it. So I'm just enjoying chat. For example, as you have justly observed, thanks to circumcision and ablution, one rarely finds among the followers of this religion either onanism, or jerking off, or certain venereal diseases, and thanks to polygamy, we see among the followers of this religion such a reciprocal, so as to say, psycho-organic maintenance of the foundation of family life as is almost entirely absent among the followers of the Christian religion. Of the useful customs originally contained in the Christian religion, and which were introduced by the creators of that religion into the life of its followers for the preservation of health and for the maintenance of the foundations of morality necessary for a happy life, nothing now remains except the custom of periodic fasting, that is, of abstaining of certain times of the year from the consumption of certain edible products. So is that Lent, when you give up for Lent? Exercise first is best. Yeah. And even this one surviving good custom is either already fading completely, yeah, pretty much, out of the ordinary life of the followers of this religion, or its observance is so changing year by year that no shock is obtained from it for the fasters, though it was just for that shock that this fast was established. The changes now taking place in the process of this Christian custom of fasting are very characteristic and provide an excellent example of understanding how the general, or the good Christian customs have, little by little, undergone change until they have finally entirely ceased to exist. Alas, fasting is making a comeback yet better. Fasting's so good, bro. If there was I remember someone saying, a doctor, a researcher saying, all of the good benefits to health that fasting gives you, if you could condense that into a pill, it would be like a panacea that would just cure everything. A good illustration is the present-day observance of this fast by those called the Russian Orthodox Christians. Hey! These Russian Orthodox Christians took their religion entirely from those called the Orthodox Greeks, from whomst together with many other Christian customs, this same custom of fasting also passed to them. Most of the millions of these Russian Orthodox Christians still continue to fast, as is said, rigorously, in conformity with what is called the Orthodox Code, now existing there. Theodore in the chat, my doctor told me I need to drink more Sprite. Get a new doctor, bro. Get a new doctor. In fact, fire your doctor and get a dietitian. Not now, but I used to be a assistant nurse in an aged care facility And let me tell you, if you want to live a long and happy life, fire your doctor, get a dietitian. Oh my god, for reals. But as the manner of their fasting, one cannot help recalling the saying of our dear Mullah Nasser Eddin in such cases. So, quote, "It isn't all the same if I sing like a donkey as long as they call me a nightingale." Isn't it all the same if I sing like a donkey as long as they call me a nightingale? That's interesting. So the fasting of the Russian Orthodox Christians is just a case of this kind. So it's something that they say is special, but it no longer holds any value. Is this guy British or Australian or Kiwi? You'll never know, Theo. You'll never know, Theo. You'll never know. As long as they called Christians, and moreover Orthodox, even though they receive no shock whatever from the fast, is it not all the same? As I have already said, these Russian Orthodox Christians, even of the present time, very strictly observe the seasons and the days of the fasts indicated in the aforesaid codes. But as to what should and should not be consumed as food during a fast, just in that question is buried the left paw of the curly-haired dog of the ex-Emperor Wilhelm. Is this a German reference? What's going on here? You'll clearly understand how these contemporary Russian Orthodox Christians fast if I repeat to you the exact words of these genuine Russian Orthodox Christians, spoken to me not long ago there in Russia. I used to meet this Russian there on certain business, and even became somewhat friendly with him, and visited him in his home. Is this a callback to the chapter where he went to Russia and met the Tsar? He was considered by those around him a very good Christian, and the patriarchal father of a family. He was descended from what they call the old believers. Oh, Humanity Dark in the chat. Howdy, Humanity. You found your channel recently, have no idea what's going on in these readings, but love the content. Oh, thank you. Here, my boy. You might as well know that certain of the beings who compose this large group, Russia, are called by the rest the Old Believers. Old Believers is the name given to those Orthodox Christians whose ancestors several centuries ago declined to accept the new rulers, then laid down by somebody or other for the Russian Orthodox Christians, but remained faithful. Followers of the previously existing rules, also laid down by somebody or other only a century or two before the given religious schism, such as usually occurs among them from time to time. Wow, is Gurdjieff mentioning early Inglism? That's interesting. And so, the said worthy Russian old believer, I continued to the young Persian, once when we were dining together at his house in the company of several other Russians, also Orthodox Christians, turned to me and said, old dear. How do I do a Russian accent? Vodka. Old dear. By the way, I must tell you, that it is common among the beings... I can't really do it. I sound like, what is it, a gay Dracula? Amongst the beings. It's not blue, it's just water, bro. Group here after the second glass. Ooh, hello. Second glass of genuine Russian vodka. To call their acquaintances by various pen names, such as... Ooh. Old dear. My Zapu Punchink. My pot-bellied beauty. My little brown jug. And so on and so forth. Bro, Gurdjieff just slaps in some random made-up words every now and then. I'm like, it always trips me up. And so this worthy, genuine Orthodox Christian addressing me as Old Dear said, "Never mind, Old Dear. We shall soon be having Lent, and then we shall feast together on real Russian dishes. To tell the truth, here in Russia, we almost always eat the same things." Oh, is he the same guy or whatever? No. "Same things during meat periods, but it is quite a different story during fasts, especially during Lent. Not a day passes but one is privileged to see some of the most tasty dishes. You know what, Old Dear? I made the other day a remarkably interesting discovery on this subject." So I'm just reading the chat. That's exactly what my wife does, Fine Free. She spikes all my drinks. This new discovery of mine is is miles above the discovery of that old codger Copernicus. Ooh, we're getting into some astronomy, boys. Who, when he was once lying dead drunk on the ground, clearly sensed, it seems, that the Earth goes round. Ah, what a marvel, what a discovery. In our own mother Moscow alone, hundreds of thousands of such discoveries are probably made every day. No, my discovery is a real one, and exceedingly instructive and substantial. That's funny, so Russian people get drunk and make discoveries. Beal Pierre, what the fuck are you drinking? It's water, bro. It's what? Is this I think my light, and also, like, the other light just kind of makes it look blue when I just kind of drink it like this. What's everyone in the chat talking about? Stalin drinking Bava Blast? Baja Blast. This discovery of mine is that we have all been complete fools and hopeless idiots ever to have imagined and been fairly convinced that for the host of good, varied, and most tasty dishes during Lent, we are indebted to the famous art of our chefs and cooks. On the day peculiarly blessed for those near to me, when I became worthy to understand this truth, that is to say, when our incomparable Dunyasa finally succeeded in placing within the layers of the pie, for the Gromwell fish, soup with turbot livers, a series of secondary layers, I understood with my whole being that this had been a great mistake on our part. First, I understood this myself, and afterwards I proved it to the whole of my household, that if we have so many varied and most tasty dishes during Lent, we are indebted only to our blessed and glorious fishes alone. Love seafood. He's probably drinking hydrogen 12. Sorry. You gotta get your hydrogens. Hydrogen's done. Actually, water is a specific hydrogen. It's, what is it, what's the one that comes after hydrogen 768? It's hydrogen... Is it hydrogen 384? And then the one after that is hydrogen 196. Bro. No, hydrogen, sorry. Hydrogen 194. Doubles into hydrogen 3. Is it 388? Bruh. I gotta get back into the hydrogen tables. But anyway. During fasts, and especially during Lent, our homes are made happy by the frequent visits of the most honorable sturgeon, and the esteemed sterlet, and the respected dried sturgeon, and the ever-memorable... This guy worships seafood, bro. I mean, hey, I love my calamari. Her illustrious highness the salmon, and the musical white sturgeon, and the serenely plastic mackerel, and the eternally angry pike, and the ever-demure Guniad. Was ist das? Was ist das? Sorry, let me just... Was ist der Gunid Corgenius pennanti is a freshwater white fish native to Bala Lake. Where's Bala Lake? In North Wales. Bro, this Russian guy has Welsh fish? I feel like this... Okay, let's just finish this up. Leaping Live Trout, Beauty Trioska, Proud Shamai, Worthy Personality Bream, and all our other like benefactors. Hold up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14? Did I count that right? So there's 4 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh shit. Okay. No, so there's 13 is there. There's 13 different fish named. Illustrious Highness the Salmon. I feel, and this is fish he's talking about. Hold up. I'm feeling something esoteric here. This is the Last Supper. These are the 12 disciples surrounding the Christ. Bro, what the hell's going on here? What is he talking about? He's talking about fasting and then Lent. He's talking to an Orthodox guy who's an old believer. So there's some kind of pagan here. Okay. There's something there. Maybe we'll come back to this in a future time, but there's something esoteric there. If anyone's taken notes, write that down. Pike for Peter. Yeah. I mean, Eternally Angry Pike. I don't know. Maybe maybe this one's Judas. And all the others are actually... Yeah. This is interesting. This is good. We've seen other stuff like this throughout the text, where Gurdjieff does a little interesting, a little sneaky sneakerson. Okay. Well, let's go forward. Let's see what he says. Let's pay attention here. Benefactors, protectors. So these are the benefactors and protectors of this Russian household. Merely the names alone of these, our givers of good and felicity, are already for us the greatest gift of God. Ooh, that's interesting. So Tyler in the chat, Her Highness. Illustrious Highness the Salmon is Mary Magdalene then. Very interesting. So this is maybe Gurdjieff's rendition of the Last Supper, putting the ladies back in. Hell yeah. When we hear their names, our heart almost leaps within us. These names of theirs are not just names, but real music. Can one really compare the sounds of the music invented there by various Beethovenings and Chopinings and other fashionable triflers with the sounds of the names of these blessed fishes? Every time we hear the names of these glorious creations, a state of bliss flows within us and courses through our veins and nerves. Our blessed fishes. So fishes, water flowing through your veins and nerves. Have mercy on us and sustain us also in these meat days. Amen. After this prayer, this worthy Orthodox Russian Christian drained a monster glass of genuine refined Russian vodka and started fondly as a little statue of Venus and Psyche, which stood nearby. Ooh. Hold on a second. Drained a monster glass of genuine... and stared fondly at a little statue of Venus and Psyche. Okay. So, in ancient Greece, we have the story of Eros and Psyche. So Psyche is a mortal woman. She gets with Eros, but she's only allowed to sleep with him. They're only allowed to experience the jousts of love in total darkness. And Psyche gets curious and brings a lamp in because she wants to know what her husband looks like. She doesn't know she's married to Eros. And when she illuminates Eros, two things happen. She realizes, oh, this beauty, this is my husband, the god of love. But also in illuminating him, he then runs away. And so it's this and then she has to go through certain trials. And it's actually a very beautiful story because it's like she goes through trials almost like the labors of Hercules, but feminine. And then at the end, they're reconciled and she becomes immortal. And it's almost like you know how Hercules goes through trials, and all of his trials he just solves by like lifting weights and, you know, grunting like a man. They're kind of boring after a while, it's like, and then he lifts weights and beats another monster. It's like, cool story, bro. Psyche has these 4 trials, and they're actually quite interesting. But in her trials are placed in her way by Venus. So Venus is the mother of Eros in the myth, and Venus doesn't really like Psyche, because Psyche's hot. And she's so good looking that other mortal men are just like, let's stop worshipping Venus and let's start worshipping Psyche. Like, she was the first e-girl that people were like dabbing up her Instagram, like sliding into, no, they weren't even sliding into her DMs. She was so hot that guys were just like, she's way out of my league. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not even gonna bother sliding into the DMs. So she was also really isolated and lonely in life. It's really interesting. But it's interesting when you think of statues or Psyche in art, it's always Psyche and Eros. The Psyche, which is your mind. Psyche is the soul, the human. Psyche is us. And it's feminine. And so it's really interesting. It's a story of the soul journeying to gnosis, to knowledge through divine love and madness. But it's from a feminine perspective, not a Herculean masculine perspective. Really interesting myth, really esoteric. And Venus, the goddess of love, has a demiurgic role in this myth. So we just started talking about the 12, like, what is it, apostles, and there was a feminine as fish, and there was a feminine noun there, or is it a describing one, Her Highness, the salmon. So we got some kind of feminized, Christic kind of Mary Magdalene soul going on here. And then at the end of this prayer, this Russian guy swigs and then looks at a statue, not of Eros and Psyche, but of Venus and Psyche. That's some kind of, and that's a choice, bro. He didn't say Eros and Psyche, he said Venus and Psyche. The two females, so the female love, the female goddess, and also the mortal woman, who's us, the soul. The mind that tries to contemplate love, but usually she contemplates her opposite, her masculine. With Venus, she has to submit. There's some, like, this is, Gurdjieff is doing some, he's put in some sneaky symbolism in here. This is one of those things where it's like, I've learned, like, enough to kind of realize he's trying to say something, but I'm still too stoopy, like, I'm still like too low IQ to actually understand what he's trying to say. I can only just be like, no, there's something behind here. Oh man. Something smells fishy indeed, Morgoth. Hey, Voices in the Wilderness, howdy. Can someone define felicity without looking it up on the internet? Felicity technically just means bliss when it's translated into English, but the old term, as the way it's used in church doctrine, felicitas, the Latin term, means something more that's kind of untranslatable. You know how, like, in Eastern stuff where they're like, you meditate and you achieve bliss, and that's what they translate. They translate it into bliss, and people are like, oh yeah, bliss, just, I understand. It's like, no. The thing they're translating into bliss is actually untranslatable. If people knew more, and if people weren't so obsessed with like, no, we can't colonize Buddhism or something, if you actually got Neoplatonists and Buddhism and Buddhists into frickin' the same room to each other, and we actually, like, talked comparative religion-wise, the term felicitas and what you achieve through enlightenment is, like, very, the bliss you achieve, quote-unquote, is very similar. And yeah, Tyler, you couldn't find a Venus and Psyche statue. Exactly, there is none. There is none. Gurdjieff is making a choice here. The relationship between Psyche and Venus is very different from Eros and Venus. And so this Orthodox guy, after praying in a pagan way, because he's praying to fish, but a pagan way that's still Christian. So it's like saying that, you know, Christianity has this perennial philosophy aspect to it, and then looks at a statue which doesn't exist, really. Oh. I wish Gurdjieff was still alive. I could just run to it and just be like, let me in! Tell me the secrets! Anyway, let's see where he goes with this. Let's see what other clues he gives us. And the Pope's hat is a fish head, exactly. Exactly. And indeed, my friend, almost every Russian Orthodox Christian has a similar idea of fasting and a similar attitude. And all of this is wrapped up in this talk about fasting. It's almost like fasting and then feasting on fish. And then some contemplation of love. Ah, man. It's like when you fast I mean, you can just break it down and be like, maybe he's saying when you fast, that's a good time to contemplate love, or, you know, practice some kind of mystical union or something. Oh man, but there's something more than that. You can just feel it just pulsing behind the text, taunting me. Pisces season mysticism, yeah man, he's doing some Pisces mysticism here. Anyway, during these Christian fasts, which passed to them from the Orthodox Greeks, they all eat the flesh of fish. It is not considered a sin among them to eat the flesh of the fish, and they eat it heartily as a fast dish. I personally find only one thing incomprehensible. From where did these Russian Orthodox get the idea that during the Christian fasts, especially during Lent, the flesh of a fish may be eaten? I find it incomprehensible because the Orthodox Christians from whom they took this religion, namely the Greeks, neither in the past nor in the present have ever eaten or do eat the flesh of fish during the fasts. Even the Greeks of today eat fish during Lent only on one day, and even then in accordance with the code of the Orthodox Church in memory of a day associated with the divine Jesus Christ. Are these saltwater or freshwater fish? From our memory, there seem to be a lot of freshwater ones. But then again, I'm not a fish guy. I don't know where trout and sturgeon come from. Maybe it's a mix. The result of a fast permitting the consumption of the flesh of fish not only gives no shock at all to the fasters, but is even directly contrary to what divine Jesus Christ himself intended and taught, for which this custom was established by the great creators of this Christian religion. Okay, so here's what's up. We want to get shocks to our consciousness. We want to awaken our consciousness. In Gurdjieff's system, in the fourth way, there are 4 levels of consciousness. First one, sleep. Second one, your normal daily consciousness. Third one is awake, or the state of self-remembering, which is awake consciousness. And the 4th level is objective consciousness. What he says to get from 2nd to 3rd, so man is basically living in a 4-story building, and we're only aware of the first 2 floors, where really there's 2 other floors, the 3rd and the 4th, and there are treasures on those floors which we couldn't imagine, blah, 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 blah. We need to find the stairwell to the 3rd floor, but the 2nd floor is in darkness, so we need to awaken. We need flashes. The shocks to our consciousness, these flashes we get through our praxis. And so what he's saying is fasting produces a shock to the consciousness. And because these people eat fish, it doesn't shock their consciousness. And he's saying how weird it is that they do this, and where did even this practice come from? Psyche and Venus, I'm just throwing stuff out here. Is there something lesbianic here, or something sapphic? So what is it? What is the term? Sapphic, sapphiric. Because they're 2 women, and they're both due of love. Is there something? In Taoism, Taoist Tantra, they talk about you do Tantra between man and woman, and the reason they say you don't do man and woman is because of yin and yang. If two men do it, both men are yang, and so you get a yang overload, and they call it like, what's the term? It's like a dragon's fire overload or something. They don't say that, but it's like, it has some like crazy Chinese term. It's like the dragon's fire, it goes too much, and you like, it does like damage to you. So like the Tantra has to be like with the negative and feminine pole, because it like scientifically works. So two yang, two masculine, the dragons devour each other and you'll explode. Whereas two women doing Tantra, because they're the neutral poles, the passive poles, it's just like the polishing of the mirror. Nothing happens. It's a neutral exercise. So nothing is necessarily gained, but nothing is necessarily lost. So I'm just reading chat. Jews and Muslims. Weird about catfish and lobster. Really? Okay, I didn't know that. Testament of Solomon. Cunnilingus eating fish. Oh my god. Tyler. Oh my god. Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the only thing that, like, lesbians and Muslims have in common is they get down on carpet 5 times a day. Let's move on from this. Let's move on. Now, in confirmation of what I have just told you, you might as well, my young friend, listen to what I once chanced to read about Christian fasting in an ancient Judaic Essenian manuscript. In this ancient Judaic Essenian manuscript, it was stated that the custom established for the followers of the teaching of Jesus Christ of fasting at certain times of the year was instituted long after his death, namely in the 214th year after his birth. 214th AD. Interesting. What happened in 214? 214 numerologically? 2, 1, and 4? 7? That's interesting. It's kind of interesting. Theodore Kent, you're a real lesbian. Were you born on the island of Lesbos? You were actually born there, so you get the title of lesbian. That's pretty cool. I think, what is it, the old myth of the Isle of Lesbos? Lesbos or Lethos? All the men, went to war and they died, so it was just an island of women. So therefore, you know, we call lesbians, so the real lesbians. Are you a real lesbian, Theodore? That's interesting. The custom of fasting was instituted and introduced into the Christian religion by the great secret Kelnuanian Council. That's not a real council, bro. This secret... Oh, it's a secret council, that's why. Kelnuanian Council was convened by all the followers of the then still new teaching of Jesus Christ in the locality of Kelnuck. Hold up. Bruh. Get that out of here. Get that out of here. Kelnuck. Yeah. This is once again another secret little place. Oh, so it's not... Sorry, you met a dirty Greek bartender who used to call himself a real lesbian. Okay. That's funny, actually. You're Philadelphian. Okay. Philadelphia as a city is such a weird name. Which means you're a brotherly lover. Okay. Okay, the opposite. Now, lying on the shores of the Dead Sea. Oh, hello! Hello! Dead Sea. Where's the Dead Sea again? That's the Black Sea. Caspian Sea? Bruh, where's Dead Sea? Give it to me, near Jordan. Yeah. Get the hell out. Oh, there's... Man, that's like really small. Okay. So supposedly, there was an old city, esoteric named Kelnuck, that existed right there. And Gurdjieff is saying that there was a secret Christian council in the year 214 that added fasting to the Christian doctrine. Very interesting. It's convened by the followers of the still new teaching of Kelnuck lines of Zion. Hence, it is known in the history of the Christian religion as the Kelnuanian Council. And it was held in secret because the followers of the teaching of Jesus Christ were then everywhere rigorously persecuted by the power-possessing people. The power-possessing people, i.e. Romans, persecuted them because they greatly feared that if people lived according to this teaching, then although they themselves, namely the power-possessing people, could also live very well, yet all the motives for displaying their power would disappear, and thereby those shocks would cease, the satisfaction of which evoked the tickling of their inner god named self-love. So people with power love themselves and they want everyone else to love them. And so they don't actually like religion, because religion helps people to love something higher than themselves. And then they won't worship other people, i.e. the power possessors. What sort of religion does this channel follow? It's complicated, okay? I'm a pan-psychic, pan-entheist, perennial philosopher with Gnostic tendencies. Does that make sense? It was during that Kelnuanian Council that its members first laid down the rule that the followers of the teachings of Jesus Christ should on certain days abstain from consuming certain edible products of food. And the initial cause of the institution of this fast was the dispute at this Kelnuanian Council between two then famous learned men, namely the great Hertunano and the Greek philosopher Vegendiadi. The great Hertunano was the representative of all the followers of the teaching of Jesus Christ settled on the shores of the Red Sea, while the philosopher Vegendiadi was the representatives of all the then followers of the teachings in Greece. The philosopher Vegendadi was famous for his learning only in his own country, but Hertunano was famous all over the earth. He was considered the greatest authority on the laws of the inner organization of man, and also an authority on the science then called alchemy. Ooh! Not, of course, the alchemical science which contemporary people have a notion, and which they express by the same word. The famous dispute between the great Hertunano and the Greek guy Vegendiadi arose on the following occasion. The philosopher Vegendiadi, it seems, occupied 2 days in affirming and proving that it was absolutely necessary to spread among all the followers of the teachings of Jesus the notion that to kill animals for the purpose of consuming their flesh for food was the greatest sin. What a beta. And moreover, that such flesh was very harmful to the health and so on. Vegan daddy. After the philosopher Vegendadi, several other representatives ascended the rostrum and spoke for or against his case. Finally, as this manuscript started, the great Hertunano, with measured dignity, slowly mounted the rostrum and spoke in the manner proper to him, clearly and calmly. According to the text of this manuscript, he then spoke as follows. I fully concur in all the evidence and arguments set forth here by our brother in Christ, the philosopher Vegendadi. I, for my part, will even add to all he has said that to cut short other lives merely to stuff one's own belly is an infamy of infamies, such as only man is capable of. Had I not also been interested in this question for many years, and had I not reached certain entirely different, definite conclusions, then after all, that our brother in Christ, Vegan Diadi, has said here, I should not hesitate a moment, but should urge and conjure you all not to delay until tomorrow, but without looking behind, to hasten back to you, your towns, and there in public squares to cry aloud, stop, stop, people, consume no more meat for food. This practice of yours is not only contrary to all commandments of God, but is the cause of all your diseases. As you see, I do not do this now, and I do not do so only because during my long years of unremitting study of this question, I have, as I have already told you, arrived at an entirely different, definite conclusion. Concerning the definite conclusion at which I have arrived, I can now tell you only this, that it will never happen on the earth, that all people will profess one and the same religion. Hence, in addition to our Christian religion, other religions will always exist. Okay, this guy's pretty based. He has a real understanding about the colors of the rainbow. And it is not possible to be certain that the followers of these other religions will also abstain from consuming meat. Richard Ruark, sorry, Theodore Kent says in chat, Richard Ruark just made a lot of Elon Musk-esque arm gesticulations. Bruh, my heart goes out to you, Theodore. But if we cannot now be certain that at some time or other, all people on Earth will abstain from meat. Look at the hat. Look at the hat, Theodore. Then we must now, as regards the consumption of meat, take quite other, more practicable measures. Because if one part of mankind consumes meat, and the other part does not, then according to the results of my experimental estimations, the greatest evil, that which nothing could be worse, would befall the people who did not consume meat. Namely, as my detailed experiments have shown me, among people who do not consume meat, but who nevertheless live among those people who do, the formation ceases of what is called willpower, i.e., you become beta. My experiments prove to me that although, when they abstain from meat, people's bodily health improves, nevertheless, when such abstainers find themselves mixing with those who consume meat, their psychic state inevitably grows worse, in spite of the fact that the state of their organism may at the same time sometimes improve. So this is really interesting. So esoterically, if you're in like an ashram or a retreat setting and you go vegetarian and everyone else does, that's completely fine. But if you live in a country with meat eaters and everyone's eating meat and you're like, no, I'm going to be vegan, you become beta, and there's just nothing you can do about it. You just become beta. Yeah, that's it. That's what happens. You're beta now. You're beta. It's just why? Esoteric reasons. It's just esoteric reasons. You're beta. Thus, a good result for people who abstain from meat can be obtained exclusively only if they live always in complete isolation. Very interesting. Theodore Kent says that this reminds me a lot of Liber Vacay. You have read that? Liber, is that a Crowley book? Or an OTO? One of the OCO recommended readings or something? No, I haven't read it. I haven't read it. As regards the people who constantly consume meat or those products which contain the element called eknok, although the appearance it is the grossest book of all times, says Theodore. Oh, no, I haven't read it. Ugh. Tell me about it. Although the appearance of the state of their organism undergoes no change, nevertheless their psyche, especially its chief feature, which is sometimes designated by the general word the character of man, gradually changes in regard to positiveness and morality for the worse beyond all recognition. Oh my god. So you know how like vegetarians and vegans are unbearable? This is why. This is why. Going vegetarian and vegan like changes your chief feature and you just become an asshole. I must tell you that I made all these deductions from the experiments I was enabled to conduct over a period of many years, thanks to two good philanthropic men, namely to the rich shepherd Allah Ek Lenak and his money, and to the scientists we all respect, El Kuna Nasa. El Kuna Nasa, what a wonderful day. Nick D says, such a dense read. Yes, it is a dense read. But there's gold in these hills. There's gold in these hills, Nick. And I understand a little bit of it, and maybe you guys understand a little bit of it that I don't get. And together we fill in the gaps, and with the power of friendship, we unlock the secrets of this text. That's the reason for these live streams. With his remarkable invention, the apparatus Arostodesok. Okay, let's hear about what this apparatus Arostodesok is. No joke, I should look it up? Okay, I'll look up the Liber Vacay after this live stream. And if it's bad, if it gives me nightmares, you're banned. Oh, Book of the Cow. I have heard of the Book of the Cow. Okay, I'll check that out. I'll check it out. By means of this said remarkable apparatus, everyone take a shot, Arostodesok, I was enabled for several years to register daily the general state of the organism of all those thousands of people who lived under the test conditions at the expense of the good shepherd Allah Ek Lenak. May our Creator multiply his flocks. Well then, when, thanks to these experimental researches of mine, I became clearly convinced that if people continue to consume meat for their food, it will be very bad for them, and that on the other hand, if only some of them should abstain, no good would come of this either. I therefore devoted myself entirely for a time to finding out what could nevertheless be done for the future welfare of the majority of people. At the outset, I then established for myself two categorical positions. The first, that people accustomed for so many centuries to consuming meat for their food would never, with their weak wills, be able to make themselves cease consuming it in order to overcome this criminal tendency of theirs. And the second, that even if people should decide not to eat meat and should in fact keep their decision for a certain time and should even lose the habit of eating meat, they would nevertheless never be able to abstain from eating it for a sufficient length of time to acquire a total aversion to it. They would not be able to be so because never on the earth will it occur that all people will have the same religion or form a single government, without which condition there can never exist common to all any suggestive, prohibited, penal, or other kind of compulsory influence owing to which alone people possessing in general the property of being simulated by example, aroused by envy, influenced magnetically, might be enabled to keep forever a resolution once taken. Based. Absolutely based. Gurdjieff is against the New World Order. Confirmed. Let's go. And so you can never have universal laws because we're not one people. We follow different religions. We're all special, okay? Very interesting. Very interesting. How are we supposed to get B2? Exactly. Exactly, Kimberly. Exactly. Now, notwithstanding these two facts. So I just read Theodore Kent, I eat out of a dumpster. They put good meat in there. I mean, it depends which dumpster you're diving in. Whew. Notwithstanding these two facts, incontestably clear my conviction, I nevertheless, with these facts as the basis of my subsequent researches, preserved in my search for some possible way of escape from the unhappy situation confronting people. Of course, all my further investigations on a large scale proceeded again with the aid of the inexhaustible wealth of the herdsman, a la Eklenak, and the wonderful apparatus of the wise Elkunanasa. The results of these last researches of mine made it clear to me that although in general people's psyche does indeed deteriorate from the constant introduction into the organism of the substance eknok. So this substance eknok comes from meat which they eat, I suppose, yet this substance has a peculiarly harmful effect only at certain times of the year. Oh, so my brethren in Christ, from all I have said, and chiefly from the experimental observations which I made on the people during a whole year, and which clearly showed me that the intensity of the harmful effect of the substance of eknok decreases at certain times of the year, I can now confidently express my personal opinion that if the custom would be spread and confirmed among the followers of the teaching of Jesus Christ of abstaining during at least certain times of the year from the use of these products, in the formation of which the substance Enoch takes a special part, then if such a measure could conceivably be put into effect, it would bring people a certain amount of benefit. That's epic. So when Lent is, that's when there's like zodiacal energy hitting us that activates the negative parts of the meat that we eat within us. So as long as we're eating meat throughout the year, we're fine. But as long as we fast during Lent and maybe take up a vegetarian diet during them, we're good. That's esoteric, bro. Oh, new esoteric ritual unlocked. Let's go. Let's go. No eating bugs here. Just fruit salad, yummy, yummy. So Lent is based, apparently. Who knew? Who knew? As my numerous alchemical investigations have shown me, the substance eknok participates in the formulation of the organisms of all lives, without exception breeding on the surface of the earth, as well as within its different spheres, as for instance, within the earth, in the water, in the atmosphere, and so on. This substance is present also in everything which exists for the formation for the said organism, as for example, in the vascular fluid of every pregnant female of every kind of life, and in such products as milk, eggs, caviar, etc. Hold on a second. Okay. Okay, this substance is also in everything that exists. Vascular fluid. Is that your spit? Spit on me, mommy? Vessels that carry blood. Oh, lymph. Okay. Vascular. So blood. So pregnant women, their blood and their lymph system are completely different. Sorry. Yeah. Finished these. So this is interesting here. I know I should be fine. I should be fine. I'm good for fluids now. I love you. Sorry, my wife's just leaving. Leaving me forever. Honey, no. What? She's like, Tyler, you're in. I'm like, bruh. Okay. Anyway. Let's get back to it. Where were we? Yeah, so substance, yes. So the Enoch substance seems to be a kind of esoteric substance that is in the blood and the vascular fluid of pregnant women, but it also exists in animals. And is in the products, meat products. So milk and eggs also have it in them. What is this? Theodore Kent. Yes. I do love my wife. It was my birthday yesterday and she took me out for dinner. It was a surprise. She took me to Japanese teppanyaki. It was delicious. Gay. I am so gay for my wife. Now, this idea expressed by the great Unano so astounded and agitated all the members of that Kelnuanian Council that the commotion made it impossible for the great Hertunano to continue speaking, and he was compelled to abandon his speech and descend from the rostrum. It was further said in that manuscript that the day's result was a unanimous decision on the part of the members of the Kelnuanian Council to fix. With the help of the great Hertunano, those times of the year when the substance eknokt had more harmful effects on people and to spread widely among the followers of Jesus Christ the custom of fasting at these times of the year, that is, of abstaining at certain times of the year from products containing for them the harmful substance eknok, yes. Ah, thanks everyone. Happy Fluid Day, happy birthday. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler, for the donation. Here's to another year. One more year in this accursed valley of bitterness. Oh, and happy Valentine's Day. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, I've given away that I'm an Aquarius. Oh well. R.I.P. With this, that Judaic Essenian manuscript ended. As you see, from this, the creators of this custom. Capricorn rising. No, I'm a Aquarius rising, actually. I'm an Aquarius with Aquarius rising, and my Mercury's in Aquarius. My moon is in Libra, so I'm like a triple S, quadruple S sign for anything. And then all of my other planets are just like in Capricorn, so it's just, I'm crazy, but then I've just like, I got that Capricorn grind in me to be like, but let's like do the crazy. How do we achieve the crazy? So it's actually a good combo for like occultism. Is he hiding baldness or a bad haircut? No, baldness. Do you like that, Theodore? You like that? Now, as you see from this, the creators of this custom had, yeah, so many houses, so many 12th house. 12th house messed me up, bro. Messed me up. My Aquarius rising, if only it was like something different. Like if I was an hour like out and it was a different rising, I would have had all of my stuff would be, instead of the 12th house, it would have been somewhere else. Anywhere else would have been better than the goddamn 12th house. 12th house sucks. Ugh. So anyway, as you see from this, the creators of this custom had in view that the followers of that religion should abstain at the fixed times from those products which contain the substance very harmful for their health, and particularly to their psyche. But the Russians, the sorry Orthodox Christians, who consider themselves faithful followers of the great religion, also fast, but during their fast they eat the fish, the flesh of fish. That is to say, they eat just those organisms which containing, according to the researchers of the great Hertunano, that harmful substance eknokt, precisely to guard them against which that wise salutary custom was created. And with that, my boy, so this is one of the first my boys we've gotten. I then conclude my conversation with that sympathetic young Persian concerning the destruction and transformation by contemporary beings of these good customs which were handed down from ancient days of their wise ancestors. Our incomparable Mullah Nasser ad-Din has also a very apt and wise sentence. People, why are you people? If only you were not people, you might perhaps be clever. A favorite saying of the American Uncle Sam also does very well to define this same idea. It is said that when Uncle Sam from America happens to have drunk a little more gin than usual, he always says during a pause, "When nothing's right, only then all is right." Americans in the chat, is that a true saying? Yes, so Nick D, what he's saying is unless you're in a place where everyone's vegan or vegetarian, you can go vegan or vegetarian. If you're amongst meat eaters, psychically it's actually bad for you to be vegetarian. However, so if you do eat meat, so if you're in like whatever, a Western country, just eat meat like everyone else, but there's a month where you should abstain from that and just eat like fruit, salad, and vegetables. And that month is Lent, so that esoteric reason for Lent. What's up? Uncle Sam is back. That's pretty funny. I don't like it when you talk about Americans. It's offensive, says Theodore. Sorry, Theodore. But the Americans deserve it. Uncle Sam. But, for myself, I will only say, in this case, Wicked Moon. Sorry, Adam in the chat. What if I'm among Kwama egg eaters? Well then eat the eggs, bro. Eat the eggs. At any rate, my dear boy, I must admit, so when he says my dear boy, this is Beelzebub talking to Hassien. But also Beelzebub is in the story, he's talking to other people. So there's like layers of the text, just to keep people in the chat like up to date with this. You need some like, I think you need a little bit of metacognition already to like follow this goddamn story. I must admit that certain customs existing there, which have reached the contemporary favorites of yours from remote antiquity, are exceedingly good for the ordinary existence of the beings of certain communities there. These customs are good because they were invented and introduced into the process of the existence of beings by those three-brained beings there, who brought the perfecting of their reason up to so high a degree as unfortunately none of your contemporary beings there any longer attains. So I'm just reading chat. The contemporary people beings are able to create only such customs as make the quality of their psyche still worse. So yeah, modern customs are just bad. For instance, they have recently made a practice of always here, there, and everywhere dancing a certain dance called the foxtrot. Just before we get to this, you know what pisses me off? I heard recently, you know in like peasant times, apparently you used to get up with the sun, right? And you'd work. And then at noon you'd stop working and you'd have like, you'd sleep. And then in the afternoon you'd wake up and you'd go about like business in town, go and visit people, have a laugh. But you wouldn't really eat much. The main meal would be like at noon, and then you just go to bed. But it's like the rest of the day was meeting with friends, doing business in other places, travel, talking, and then at night you'd stay up at night, talking and telling stories and all of this, and then you'd go to sleep, and then you just wake up with the sun and work till noon. There was no 9 till 5, and you got 2 sleeps. You got one during the day and then one at night. We would like what do you call it, diatonic sleep? There was no like 9 till 5, wake up, grind for the entire day, then maybe do some stuff at night and then sleep once. I'm like, oh my god, remember what they took from us. Modernity was a mistake. So I'm just checking chat. Slavery is real. The slavery is real. At the present time, I mean, look, Uncle Sam, sorry, I'm looking at chat. Everyone's talking about Uncle Sam being creepy. Uncle Sam kind of represents America, but also the Statue of Liberty. Lady Liberty is the real representative of America. The sexy French girl who shows feet. That is the true image of America. The Uncle Sam, that's just what people, try to try to put out exteriorly, you know, don't mess with this guy, but really, it's Lady Liberty giving everyone feet pics and showing us what, you know, the fire, Promethean fire of freedom really is. That's what America really is about. At the present time, this foxtrot is indulged in everywhere. Biphallic sleep, that's what I meant. Wait, what? Biphallic sleep if you sleep with your dad. Bro, I should have read the rest of that comment. You got me, you got me. I had some wise words in the chat. A fool who persists in his folly becomes wise. That's a nice one, Tyler. Anyway, we're talking about the foxtrot here, guys. Let's stay on track. Where at all times of the day and night, not only by young and still unformed beings, who do not even begin to be aware of the sense and aim of their arising in existence, but also by those whose faces clearly express, as it can be constated by every normal, more or less sensible, three-brained being, that in respect of their duration of existence, as our teacher would say, not only have they one foot in the grave, but even both. The point, however, is that the process of the experience in a being during the said foxtrot is exactly similar to that which proceeds during that children's disease which the great Moses called Mordorduten. Okay, wait a second. So dancing the foxtrot gives you the same negative stuff as joke gooning? What? What? Huh? The disease which the great Moses devoted half his existence to eradicating among children, a host of your contemporary favorites of responsible age, have almost deliberately resurrected again and spread not only among children and the general mass of adults, but also even among the aged as well. Hold on. Those good customs for ordinary existence reached your contemporary favorites from the ancient three-brained beings of your planet, and very many now still exist there among the beings of various communities of the continent Asia. Certain of these customs existing there now appear, when first witnessed, as absurdly strange and barbaric, but on a close and impartial investigation of the inner meaning of any of these customs, one can see how skillfully there has been incorporated in them for the people who follow them one or another moral or hygienic benefit. So ancient customs have moral and hygienic benefit. Yeah, Gurdjieff hates twerking for real. Twerking? No. The foxtrot is goonish. Oh, man, would Gurdjieff have hated Elvis then? Take as an example one of the most seemingly senseless of the customs there. One existing among the certain tribes of Asiatic beings called Kelnuanian Lutes, or Kelnuanian gypsies, dwelling between Persia and Afghanistan, and which other beings there called gypsy self-fumigation. What? Are they gonna like fart in a tent or something? What's going on? Exactly the same end is served by this seemingly stupid custom as by the Persian custom of ablution or abdest. This gypsy tribe is regarded as the lowest, filthiest of all the tribes existing on Earth. Gurdjieff, gypsies are filthy, quote, and indeed, they are so filthy and their clothes are always swarming with insects called lice. That's so funny. Gurdjieff hates gypsies. No, who else? No. Gurdjieff hates gypsies, confirmed. Their custom of self-fumigation also serves, by the way, to destroy these insects. Oh, so they're just so gross they destroy insects. What? Although the men beings of that tribe are indeed exceedingly filthy, yet not only do venereal diseases exist among them, but they do not even know and have never heard that such diseases can be contracted. Oh, Jesus. They've been gypped. In my opinion, This is the outcome entirely of that custom of theirs, which some ancient clever being there invented for the welfare of the people of this epoch, which passing from generation to generation chanced to reach these contemporary filthy gypsies of the tribe of Kelnuanian gypsies. For this rite of self-fumigation, every family of gypsies has also what is called an atesh cane, and that is a stool of special form, which they regard as sacred. And this stool ritual of theirs, they perform with the aid of this sacred stool. This whole ritual of theirs, they perform with this sacred stool. Every family of gypsies has also what is called a tandoor, that is a certain kind of earth pit, which as is found in the houses almost everywhere on the continent of Asia, and which serves as a hearth on which they usually bake bread and prepare food. In these tandoor in Asia, they burn chiefly what is called kiziak, a fuel composed of the dung of quadruped animals. Ooh, I don't like where this is going. The rite itself consists in this, that when the family of gypsies returns home in the evening, they first remove all their clothes and shake them in the tandoor. Oh my god. They have a poop burning facility and they use the fumes of the poop burning place to air out their clothes? The hell? What? What? It is almost always hot in this tandoor because the dung burns very slowly and the ashes formed around the kiziak keep the fire burning for a very long time. By the way, it is interesting to remark that when these gypsies shake their clothes in the tandoor, a highly interesting phenomenon results from this action of theirs. Namely, the lice in their clothes crawl out and falling into the fire explode before burning, and the various sounds of the explosion of these lice, large and small, produce altogether a surprising musical symphony. Exploding lice symphony, let's go. From the said explosion of the lice, a hearer sometimes has the impression that somewhere not far off firing is going on from several dozen of what are their so-called machine guns. Well then, after these worthy gypsies have shaken their no less worthy clothing, they proceed with the sacred ritual. First of all, they solemnly, with a certain ceremony, lower their sacred family stool into the tandoor and turn according to age. They step onto the tandoor and stand upon it. Okay, wow. So they go into the poop pit as well. The sacred stool consists simply of a small board which 4 iron legs are fixed, and by this means it is possible to stand in the tandoor without burning one's feet into the hot ashes. As each member of the family stands on the sacred stool, all the other members of the family sing their sacred canticle, while the one standing upon the stool slowly and solemnly, bending the knees, lowers and raises himself, and at the same time recites prayers. The custom requires he should do this until every part of his sex organ has been warmed by the tandoor. Oof. A second custom, very similar, seemingly just as stupid, I saw among... Oh, Jesus, let me just read the chat. What's people saying? Glad it wasn't the... God damn. Fine free. You know what's crazy? I have also always wanted to make a poop burning outhouse. Just makes sense. Humanity dark. To be honest, that seems pretty standard. Like in medieval Europe, they would hang clothes out over latrine pits, as the chemicals from the urine would eventually rise up and help disinfect the clothes. Yeah, that's true. Exploding Lice is the badass name for a dungeon synth band. Nah, dungeon synth always has more fantasy names. Maybe like a song for like a kind of an alternative metal band. Jesus. Anyway, let's actually... Are we going to get into the second custom? It's getting... We're about an hour and 40 in. Maybe we'll leave it there for today. We'll leave it there for today. Akash, you just got in. Is Gerdish talking about poop? Yes, he was. But we're gonna leave it there. My head's getting a bit achy from all this poop talk, and we made a good run today. We made some good pages. So, thank y'all, everybody in chat. Thank you all, everybody who's watching. Thank you all those who donated. Can we all write poetry now? You can all write poetry. you can all have a good time. Hope y'all have a good week. Thank you for joining me. I'll see y'all next week, same time, same place. We'll pick up where we left off in America with Beelzebub. Can't end the story on poop? Bro, Adamu, we ended the story on jerking off last week. Let's go. We're moving up in the world. See y'all guys then. Ciao.